For me, I just try to be the best human that I can every day. And if I'm going to the beach, I will look down and pick up trash. And I always think in my head, if every single human that came to a beach and sat with their kids and, played in the sand or got into the water, if everyone would just, in places where there is clearly, a plastic problem, and if you don't live in one of those places, you're lucky, and hopefully it won't ever come to you. But when it came to Hawaii, I remember it was like this stark wake-up call, and all of a sudden I was walking along my favorite beach. This was like 5 years ago, and there were just microplastics, like the types of things that I'd seen in Bali and the Maldives and Asia. And to see that in what, in my mind had been this pristine Hawaii, to actually see that it now was actually under assault as well. It was very, heartbreaking and eye-opening.
Yes.
So
understandable. Well, good for you guys. That's so true. I honestly do pick up trash everywhere I go when it's on the beach. One time there was a big refrigerator down in we were off the coast of Costa Rica, right, on an island off there. But so you're so right. That's such a good call to action for our listeners. When you see trash, if you're walking down the street, pick it up. Right. And if you have trash, don't throw it out your window or don't throw it on the ground.
And if you have kids, they're going to watch you and observe you in doing these
so
actions.
Good. That's the thing we can do every day. That's like a crazy, amazing thing you can do every day.
Just don't throw the kids out.
Don't throw the kids out. Right. And you alluded to the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, or whatever you want to call that. Some people call it Christmas Island, this kind of thing. Somebody we read about, a 25-year-old Dutch inventor named Boyan Slat. Do you know him?
Yeah. I've met him.
Yes, I heard that you guys might know him. So his plastic collection invention has been successfully tested
just a couple of days
collect
ago.
Plastic out of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. They're saying that it even collects some microplastics. Are you guys aware of this? Do you know this story? You've met
Well,
him?
he had a first attempt, and that sort of broke down.
Right.
Okay.
And a lot of people were quite pessimistic, a little bit cynical. It's funny when you actually do something.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of judgment made.
Yeah, you've got to be ready to get attacked if you do anything good.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't realize that he had launched again, or somehow I was disconnected.
Yeah,
Did you hear
I didn't
that?
realize
Did you know
Yeah,
that?
so this latest version, he's attached, what is it called, a parachute anchor. And somehow that stabilized it. And so they said, hey, it's working. But yeah, you're right. He tried things and it wasn't quite right, and he kept trying.
Yeah, this guy is like a mad scientist.
He's 25 years old.
He's like really, really determined. And at the end of the
renegade.
day, right? You combine intelligence with determination, and good stuff's going to happen. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not necessarily going to happen your first try or your second try, but you're likely to succeed at some point. And that kid is determined. Well, he's not a kid anymore.
That's amazing. Speaking of kids, there was the other kid that's doing amazing things.
Greta Thunberg.
Now talk about somebody who is and so I'm Swedish.
Yes, I know. So that's of course we need to say.
And so she's put herself out there. A lot of people look at her heroically, me included, and I think you included.
Us included.
Yes.
You included. And then there's all kinds of people that view her as the enemy, just like we're hearing like the press is the enemy of the people by certain individuals today. Yeah. Somebody who disagrees or has this strong opinion about climate and its effect, and particularly the fact that our generation should not destroy the possibilities of her generation. So that's a very, very salient, powerful message. And she's got so many enemies out there. And there is a reasonable chance, unfortunately, in the world we live in, that something bad can happen as a consequence of that. And I just
this is what's sad, and that's why, again, part of our mission is to encourage people to do something, because it can be paralyzing when you're up against the fact that, no good deed goes unpunished or something like that, and it's like, people have to keep moving forward to do good things. And we have to find a way around those people and to like cut out the noise so that we can go forward. even starting this podcast, this is one of our first ones. And, I'm just like, what am I going to be criticized for? What are people going to pick on? What am I going to say something wrong? But, at some point you just have to say, I need to do something. We need to tell stories about people like you all so that more people can be inspired to do good things, because that's what we need in this world. We are very powerful humans, and if we can just do one thing or anything, follow what we can do, we can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and the reality is that there are so many people out there that are smart and that have the ability to come up with ideas that can change the trajectory of some of the more negative things that we're dealing with at the moment. The ability exists. I mean, human beings are capable of doing all kinds of things, right? So what we need right now is we need to combine the sort of essence of intelligence, imagination, determination with political will to acknowledge the fact that we have to rebalance our relationship with natural systems. Mm-hmm. We owe that to our children. Mm-hmm. We owe that to their children.
To the planet.
You have had a longstanding commitment to conservation, Sven, with your company, and you've been recognized around the world for the steps you've taken to advance the environment. And so can you just tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are? Because you've been doing this most of your life and grew up in it. Tell us a little
you were
bit.
about to say for how long, but nevertheless, most of my life. That's good. We'll keep it at that. But it was interesting. The first, I went to East Africa when I was 19. And I stayed there for the next 7 or so years. And the first job I had was in a national park called Tsavo East, which had the largest population of elephant and black rhino in all of Africa. And so we would go out with our guests, and they were like, we'd see huge herds of elephant and more or less 10, 15 rhino a day. If we really worked hard. And one day it had been, I just decided there were no guests for 2 days, and I decided to go out just for the hell of it and see how many rhino I could find in a single day. And I went out with this particular driver. His name was Kibet. He was the one who kind of taught me everything about how to look for these animals. And we found 59 individual black rhino in one day. This is 1971. Wow. And about 10 years later, I was back in that same national park. I was there for a week and did not see one.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, that's heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking, but I think it was in many ways that's the day. We all have these moments in life where we feel that our lives change. We went from one direction to another. And that was the day I think I became a conservationist because I said to myself, this is way too much power that human beings have to be able to basically wipe out a species in a place where the largest population existed in the span of a decade.
That's
all because people in Yemen wanted dagger handles.
Oh my God!
So most people thought it was all going to China for medicinal purpose, although some of it was, but most of it was going to Yemen for dagger handles. Men wanted dagger handles as a sign of status.
So what did you do from there? Like what was your next effort?
Well, I mean, from there, so I'm a kid, right? And I'm trying, feeling my way through life, and this extraordinary experience in Africa where I just had the privilege of being, Kristen was talking earlier about, being surrounded by or having these photographers next to her on these various trips. So I was surrounded by all these game wardens from the national parks who were like heroic figures, scientists. I spent a week with Diane Fossey.
Did you really?
With the gorillas up in Rwanda, which was one of the most extraordinary experiences ever. So, I mean, I was just flooded with these heroes and these experiences and these people who cared deeply about the wild and its relevance. And so I would look for every and any opportunity to use my position, which was not very much in the beginning, to have an impact, right? So in a sense, when I started my company, it was not so much because I wanted to have a business for the sake of a business, but I felt that I could use having a business and connecting people to experiences to have them think differently about what mattered as it related to biodiversity above all else. That we need biodiversity. We need to protect our wild assets. And travel to me became a real vehicle, or the only vehicle that I was cognizant of personally, where I could help transmit that notion.
Do you see that kind of transformation actually happening on your guests' faces when you take them to a place, let's say, that they've never been, or they may have had a misconception about, and you said, wait till I show you whatever?
Yeah, so when you think about it, there's so many issues. Now, take climate change, for example, which is obviously such a key issue that we're dealing with. Well, most people, they're exposed to that subject through articles and television and some form of intellectual description about the problem.
Or non-intellectual, if I may say.
Or non-intellectual. That's true. That's true. And they're the deniers, and there's a whole world of sort of different views on this, obviously. But when you go to a place like Antarctica or Greenland, and you see icebergs the size of massive skyscrapers, right? The largest iceberg that was ever recorded in Antarctica was larger than the state of Rhode Island, a free-flowing piece of ice. So then you begin to think about things differently. You've had a personal connection. You've seen something. You've felt something. And then if you combine that with some really interesting conversation, you just face that subject differently, or you think about that subject differently.
Yeah, it's hard to deny it when it's happening right in front of you.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this clip. Be sure to watch the full episode by clicking the link in the description.
Right, and don't forget to like this video and then subscribe to our channel. Oh, and click on the bell icon so we can let you know when we post a new video.
Thanks guys, take care.
See you next time.